Here we'll find the notes for our B flat major scale. This is a 7-note scale. And to find the notes for that 7-note scale, we'll analyze a C major scale to determine the correct spacing of the notes and to obtain a formula which we can then use for the B flat major scale. Here's how we'll proceed. On the staff, draw a G clef, and our start note is a C. Then write in the 7-note scale by alternating lines and spaces. C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And find the start note on the piano keyboard. The C major scale has all white notes. So D, E, F, G, A, and B are the 7 notes of that scale. Now we're going to analyze this C major scale. If we're on a white note, the next available note is this black note, and that spacing is called a half step. Similarly, if we're on a black note, the next available note is a white note. The spacing towards the next available note is a half step. Also note that from a white note, in this case an E to an F, these are consecutive notes, next available note. Again, this would be a half step. So here's my formula that describes the spacing of these 7 notes. From a C to a D is 2 half steps, which is a whole step. I write a W. From a D to an E, 2 half steps, or a whole step. From an E to an F is a half step. From an F to a G is a whole step. From a G to an A is a whole step. From an A to a B is a whole step. And then if we continue these 7 notes to get another note to come back to our C, we would use a spacing of a half step. So our formula is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Here's a ukulele fretboard that's tuned in C6. This fretboard of 4 strings would be appropriate for a soprano, concert, and a tenor sized ukulele. And also the 4th string, I'm using the low G option for that string. The 3rd string open is a C. So follow my formula for the C major scale. It's whole step to a D, whole step to an E, half step to an F, whole step to a G, whole step to an A, whole step to a B, then half step to the C. So we go to the staff, put in our G clef, our start note is a B flat. We'll put that flat in the key signature. Then write the next 6 notes to make our 7 notes, scale by alternating lines and spaces. Go to the piano keyboard, find the start note, which is a B flat, and then use the formula of whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step to find the notes of the scale. A whole step from B flat is C, whole step D, half step is this black note here. To get the correct spelling for that note, go to the notes on the staff. Here's our E. So we see that we need an E flat rather than a D sharp. So E flat, I put that in the key signature and then continue. Whole step, whole step, whole step, and then if we went one more half step to get an eighth note. Our notes on the ukulele fretboard, we need to first find our start note of the B flat. So here's G, A, here's B flat, whole step to a C, whole step to a D, which I'll play here on the third string, half step to the E flat, whole step to the F, then a whole step up to the G, which I'll play on the second string here, then a whole step from the G to an A, and then to get the eighth note of the scale, a half step up. So we found the 7 notes of the B flat major scale by first examining the C major scale and determining that the formula for the separation of the notes, the correct spacing is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. We then went to the staff and put in our start note, B flat, and wrote in the consecutive notes, alternating lines and spaces. We went to our start note on the keyboard, found the appropriate notes using our formula, and then went back to the notes on the staff to write in the correct spelling for the note. Similarly, on the fretboard for the ukulele, from our start note, we followed the notes of our formula and then went to higher strings so that the scale will be easier to play.